Let's talk about the time Deadpool goes to Spider-Man looking for advice on how to be a real hero. We see the Merc with the Mouth and the Wall Crawler going head to head. We see Deadpool doing what he does best, talking incessantly. Spider-Man is just demanding that Wade shuts the hell up. Deadpool tells him he has something that he needs him to understand. All of this hateful talking between the two of them and their nether regions rubbing together in spandex is going to make him unsheath his katana, if you know what I mean. In order for them to escape Dormammu's clutches, we see Wade popping his own hip out of place, which freed Spidey up enough to grab one of his swords and cut the two of them loose. Even as they're fighting back and fighting for their lives against the mindless ones, Dormammu stops them to ask Spidey what the hell he's doing at slumming it with somebody like Deadpool. He tells him, being Spider-Man used to mean something. Of course, Wade goes to a flashback to explain the whole situation. We see the Webhead using his new tech from Parker Industries in order to fight Hydro Man, that is, until he's interrupted by the regenerating degenerate. Deadpool is taunting Spider-Man because, he quit the Avengers because Deadpool was on the Avengers. He wants the Wallcrawler to know that while his therapist and the people he's put in the hospital all agree that he has no understanding of the moral contract the society's built upon, so he's now using a chart. Wade gives his new moral compass a little spin and comes up with chaotic neutral, letting him pick whatever he would want to. So he grabs Spidey and teleports him away from the fight. Wade literally drug him to hell in order to help him with what he called an Avengers-level threat. But this isn't Spidey's first rodeo. He knows that if this was an Avengers-level threat, the Avengers would be here. Hell, where's Doctor Strange, and does Wade even have a plan? As Deadpool begins to pull some brains that he had stolen from a morgue recently out of his pockets, he starts shoving them inside the mindless ones' heads and turning them into the mindful ones. A very dejected Spider-Man says that none of this makes any sense. This isn't how any of this works. He thinks he must have died when he was fighting Hydro Man, and he's now in hell. And Deadpool reveals that this was all a part of a job interview and tells Spider-Man congratulations, he's hired. The Wallcrawler's pissed. He makes Deadpool teleport them out of wherever the hell they were, and then slings him on the nearest rooftop. The Crimson Comedian begins explaining himself to Spidey. He tells him that, he's franchised himself out. He's making a lot of money now. And he feels bad that Webb's quit the Avengers on his behalf, so he wants him to come work with him. Which, of course, would mean Spider-Man couldn't quit working for that absolute tool, Peter Parker. Spidey then gets defensive, and Deadpool tells him that it's nothing personal. He knows that he's just the guy's security guard. He knows that it's just a job. You don't get to be the top 1% without stepping on the necks of the 99% of people in the world. But while Deadpool is rambling, it makes Peter realize that he is late for a meeting. Pete begins rushing back and calling Anna Marie to make sure that she's covering for him. Wade isn't going away. He tells Spidey that water dork he was supposed to defeat earlier is back, and now he's leveled up as we see Hydro Man full of the entirety of New York City's wastewater. He begins blasting our heroes with literal shit, and Deadpool tells Spider-Man that the good news in all of this is he could just poop or piss his pants and no one would know the difference. But thinking quickly on his feet, the Webhead asks Wade if he has any incendiary grenades, to which of course he says yes. Spidey just picks him up, launches him into Hydro Man, and pulls the pins on all his grenades, blowing the two of them all to shit. Afterwards, we see the two of them getting cleaned up, and Pete trying to get the hell away from Wade as quickly as he can, but Deadpool seriously asks him if he will stop. Deadpool tells him, it's really damn hard. I know you think I'm dirt with a key to Avengers Tower, but I'm really trying. He tells the Webhead he thought if he just hung around him a little while, he could earn what it means to be a hero. He knows it's not something that can be told to him, something that can be taught, but if he just did what Spider-Man did, if he just did the next right thing, he would eventually become that. And maybe earn his respect too. With that sentiment, Deadpool tells him his goodbyes. As he hops off the building, the Webhead begins swinging away, telling himself over and over again, just hate him. It would be so easy. You've been doing it for years. But we see Wade back in his home, and without Pete's guidance, he's using his Moral Compass app once more. As he's told to follow the heroic good, he knows exactly what he has to do. Kill the crap out of Peter Parker. We see Peter Parker holding a press conference and announcing to the world Parker Industries' latest and greatest of their proprietary technology, their webwear watches. Meanwhile, Deadpool is laying in bed with his wife watching as he thinks about how despicable, deplorable, and how much of a degenerate Peter Parker really is. While she doesn't understand why Wade just doesn't go ahead and kill the scumbag because he's getting offered a lot of money, Deadpool tells her he's an Avenger now. You can't kill somebody unless you have a really good reason. But after he receives some really damning evidence from the client who is hiring him for the job, Wade decides that he needs to speak to Peter Parker's bodyguard one-on-one about all of this, so we see him going out and getting the attention of the Webhead himself. After coming across not one, but both of the Spider-Men, the regenerating degenerate has to ask them, is their boss Peter Parker an evil genius or just an evil villain? And while of course they didn't take too kindly to this question, the web slingers get distracted pretty quickly when they see a full-on attack from the Goblin Nation, which of course confuses the hell out of Peter. But as they're fighting desperately for their lives and trying to save everyone around them, it turns out that Wade Wilson was the real hero that day. As we see him driving the once spider buggy with a brand new paint job up the side of the building to try and stop the Spider-Men from fighting, he jumps out and tackles one of the wall crawlers, and they both jump Wade's ass and start fighting him, telling them that they knew he couldn't be trusted. Peter can't believe how stupid he was to believe that Wade really might have had an ounce of good in him, that he really might change. The world is on fire and Deadpool will always be on the wrong side of it. He's selfish and stupid and only goes where the money is. But as he pulls out his guns to fire at the wall crawlers, he shoots their webware watches, and all the hallucinations that were going on around them immediately fade away, and Pete realizes that he was being an enormous jackass. Knowing that it was Parker Industries tech that were causing these mass hallucinations, Deadpool loads the Spideys up into his dead buggy and tells them, "Now let's go kick your boss's ass." Once they arrive, of course they quickly discover that the real culprit behind all of this was naturally Mysterio. Just assuming that was one of Mysterio's projections of himself in front of him, Deadpool runs him over. Spidey, of course, immediately jumps out of the dead buggy and hops on the computers to try and undo all of the damage done by Quentin Beck. But much to Spider-Man's surprise, he looks over and sees that Deadpool is giving Mysterio CPR because, damn it, he really didn't want to kill anybody today. With the crisis now safely averted, the medics are flying Mysterio out to the hospital and telling the heroes that he's going to live, and it's all thanks to Deadpool. As his phone goes off, Wade Wilson realizes that he's earned something that he's always wanted: Spider-Man's respect and his phone number. But with the wall crawler swinging off into the sunset, Deadpool thinks that might as well, while he's here and Parker Industries security is down, he's gonna follow up on his lead. And unfortunately, the Crimson Comedian opens the door to find that there's nothing here to joke about. Seeing a unwilling human test subject right there in front of him, Deadpool loses his fucking shit. You thought Spider-Man was scary when he wasn't smiling and wasn't cracking jokes. You haven't seen the merc with the mouth go silent. He goes on a dismembering and disemboweling spree. He calls his client and tells him that he's all in. It would be his pleasure to put Peter Parker in the ground. We see Peter Parker visiting Quentin Beck in the hospital as he's being told that he has a brand new second chance at life, and it's all thanks to Wade Wilson. But as Deadpool walks into the room to check on the man that he recently saved, him and the head of Parker Industries lock eyes. Peter wonders if Deadpool is looking at him so weird because he realizes that he's Spider-Man, but he brushes it off quickly when he realizes Wade's an idiot. There's no way he would figure that out. And the merc with the mouth, on the other hand, is thinking to himself, if this is the right time, should he finally just go ahead and kill Peter Parker? But their awkward encounter quickly gets broke up by the wall crawler himself. If you weren't aware, while Pete was the head of Parker Industries, he actually had Hobie Brown dress up as Spider-Man so that the two could be seen in the same room together. Peter knows how much Deadpool admires Spider-Man and wants to give him a thank you for, actually saving a life instead of taking one. So he tells his web-headed bodyguard to take the day off and hang out with the regenerating degenerate. After a quick outfit change and a swap with Hobie Brown, Peter actually heads out with Deadpool because he genuinely wants to reward him, but an eventful 18 minutes later, Deadpool has already burnt down an entire carnival and his staged fundraiser that he was doing for children. The web-slinger once again finds himself disappointed in Deadpool and tells him that he really thought he was changing, but Deadpool asks for another chance. He tells him he can show him all the good he's doing in the world. And one flight later, we see Spider-Man teaming up with Deadpool and his mercs for money. Together, they are trying to free a town from an insane cult, and because of Spider-Man's presence, Deadpool and all of his mercenaries are using rubber bullets. It turns out the leaders behind this cult are Sticks and Stone, and we see our two heroes facing off against them. They just can't figure out a way to win. They can't work together. Hell, they even end up having to retreat and try to regroup, but as they do, Spidey sees the innocent civilians that they were hired to protect are actually a drug cartel. But to the Crimson Comedian's counterpoint, he tells Spider-Man, hey, the check cleared. The wall crawler is pissed that he's here protecting drug dealers, and Wade tells him, come on, man, open your eyes. As they engage back in battle, he tells Peter that these people aren't Pablo Escobar, they're not Scarface. For half of these people, it's cook drugs or get shot, and for the other half, it's get shot or farm drugs. Our two heroes eventually figure their shit out. They begin working together, they begin working in tandem and as a team, and eventually, they win. But of course, this battle ends the same way as many battles for Deadpool ends, with him looking like a piece of Swiss cheese. As they're leaving, the web-slinger genuinely asks Deadpool for his advice. He wants to know if there's any possible way that they could help these people. But Wade tells him, unfortunately, it would take somebody with a lot of money and a lot of power. And while the webhead is ready to take the two of them home, Deadpool tells them they have one stop to make first. They arrive at a home that strangely blocks all internet, GPS, and Wi-Fi signals. Spider-Man asks Deadpool if he's being serious right now. He sees a little girl walk out of the house. He tells Deadpool that he doesn't want any more tricks. He thought they were trying the truth for once. And he's stunned when she says daddy, and Wade Wilson falls to his knees to hug his little girl. He asks his daughter about her week and how everything's going, and then introduces her to her Uncle Spidey. When Ellie excitedly asks how her dad's workday went, he gives her some drummed up rainbows, unicorns, and sprinkles version of the truth. Ellie's so excited to finally meet her Uncle Spider-Man and tells him how much her dad absolutely loves him and how he says all the time that Captain America couldn't hold his web shooters. But as the regenerating degenerate goes to put his daughter to bed, he finally tells Spider-Man the truth. He said he didn't know about Ellie for a long time, and nobody knows about her, except now Peter. He tells Spidey that she's safe here, and she's gonna continue to be here until he can stop playing dumbass and grow up and be a real boy. As Spidey swings away in astonishment, he says, man, just when you think you know a guy that you hate. Deadpool hopes that he's passed Spider-Man's judgy test of character. As they go their separate ways, we see Peter trying to figure out a way to use his Parker Industry funds to help that small town that they saved earlier. It turns out Deadpool had his mercs for money running scans on Spider-Man the whole time that he was fighting with them. And the regenerating degenerate figures out that the only way that he can get past Spider-Man to kill Peter Parker is with friendship. Now that the merc with the mouth is trying to turn over a new leaf, we see Spider-Man trying to reward his good behavior. He's throwing him a bone. He gives him what he wants. He asks Wade if he wants to hang out tonight. Anna Marie is berating Peter for this, telling him that Deadpool's a piece of shit and not worth his time, but he tells her that Deadpool is changing. And in classic Spider-Man fashion, he truly believes that everyone can be saved. Meanwhile, Deadpool's wife, Shikla, is telling him that this Parker job is tearing him apart. He's trying to live two lives. He can't be an Avenger and be Spider-Man's best friend and assassinate Peter Parker. We see the Wallcrawler arriving for his special night out with the regenerating degenerate when he sees that they're at a club, and obviously, Spidey can't go clubbing. He's not going to reveal his identity to Deadpool, but thankfully for him, Wade's already thought of everything as he hands him an image inducer. The only issue with that is, Pete isn't exactly comfortable with the image he's using as his disguise. But the Crimson Comedian assures him that it's fine, that the only reason anybody would have a problem with this is if they were a racist. Spidey goes into the club with Deadpool, but is obviously extremely uncomfortable. He's also nervous and very out of his element, and Wade adds fuel to the fire when he tells him that he set him up on a blind date. But when Spidey lays eyes on his date, he decides to let bygones be bygones and forgives the uncanny Avenger for putting him in this situation. Pete and Jenny instantly hit it off. They talk for almost an hour and basically forget that Deadpool is even there, which of course is driving him absolutely insane because Deadpool's biggest kryptonite is a lack of attention. But Wade's suffering is officially over when his date arrives, Thor, the goddess of thunder herself. Pete quickly points out the fact that Deadpool is married, but the regenerating degenerate tells him not to worry, that it's fine, that Shikla knows about his hall pass list. Jane is filled with the fury of the gods when she realizes that Deadpool doesn't have an Avengers level threat going on. There is no emergency. And things go from bad to worse when it turns out that Pete's date, Jenny, is Shikla's cousin, a succubus who absolutely hates Asgardians. The web-slinger takes his image inducer off and tells Wade that they need to do everything they can to stop this fight. But at the end of the day, Deadpool doesn't want Webs to worry, and he tells him that this was all a part of his plan. He just wanted him to have a good time, and Wade is the owner of this nightclub. As he reveals his big surprise was a mud pit for the girls to fight in. Jenny and Jane are, of course, extremely pissed off when they realize what Deadpool's plan was, and they turn their mutual anger towards the jackasses in red. Though the regenerating degenerate could heal from all of it, he really doesn't want torn into pieces by Mjolnir. Spidey is still kind of riding a high and jacked up off of succubus pheromones. In order to pay for their objectification of these two extremely powerful women, our two heroes have to dance in front of the entire club in their underwear like no one's watching. And as they start getting into it, Pete really thinks that this is the freest he's felt in months. Two of them start putting on a show like you wouldn't believe. The club is going wild. They even managed to pull off a larger-than-life, Dirty Dancing finale to their performance. Now that the night is over, we see the Wallcrawler and the Crimson Comedian standing outside, absolutely busting their guts laughing. We see Spidey leaving Wade with a heartfelt message and telling him that if he's trying to be better, he really thinks he's doing the job. As he swings off into a sunrise over Manhattan, he thanks Deadpool for all of this and tells him he needed this night. As Wade tells him they'll definitely do it again sometime. We can see Peter back at his apartment recovering, but when he opens the door to collect the breakfast he had delivered, he sees something else entirely. As the merc with the mouth finally finishes the job he was hired to do. With a couple more shots to make sure that the job is finished, we see Deadpool pulling up his mask and spitting on Peter's body. He's surprised that the webhead didn't come running to his rescue, and he tells him, "Enjoy your vacation in hell." As he's leaving the scene of the crime, we see Deadpool driving away and calling Spider-Man, telling him that he wanted to thank him for everything. For the first time in a long time, he actually felt happy, and he's psyched they can be friends. After getting shot at point-blank range by the Merc with the Mouth, we see Peter standing in the warmth and the glow of the afterlife. It feels welcoming, promising, and it feels like the end of all of his suffering, but things aren't always as they seem. Because of his wife's connections to hell, we see Deadpool has set up a special appointment. After killing Pete, he wanted to go out of his way to be the one who tortured his soul. The only problem is, Peter Parker's soul isn't in hell. The regenerating degenerate is confused as hell. He heads back to Peter's apartment to make sure that he is good and dead. But since Peter Parker's soul wasn't in hell like Wade Wilson knows it should have been, he asks his wife Shikla for a favor. As we see a fully resurrected Peter Parker waking back up in his bed, but staring down the barrel of the Merc with the Mouth, who kills Peter again. Wade's wife is pissed because she doesn't understand why she brought this guy back just to get shot again. But Wade asks her, "Have you never heard of turning something off and turning it back on again to fix it?" This is kind of the opposite of that. Shikla's powers are almost completely drained. She can barely stand after resurrecting Peter. She tells Wade she better hope he was right because she can't do that again. But when the Queen of Monsters contacts Hell, it turns out Peter's soul still hasn't went there. Which leaves Deadpool dejected and scratching his head saying Peter Parker must have not been a bad guy. While his soul wasn't in hell, we see Peter experiencing a completely different kind of hell, his own past. Because of Mysterio's current status of being in a coma, it turns out that his soul is kind of in limbo as well. So he's pulled Peter Parker's soul here to torture it, hopefully, for all of eternity. But fortunately enough for Peter, he is rescued by a blood-soaked mercenary. Upon seeing Deadpool, Peter's first thought is that he actually is in hell. But his second one is wanting to know whose blood is covering Deadpool's body. But it's his. See, the regenerating degenerate doesn't exactly die easily and doesn't stay dead long, so Shikla is out there in the mortal world keeping her husband killed. Shikla had given her husband some advice that he passes on to Peter Parker. He tells him he can fight for his soul's freedom. He can fight off the darkness here if he just focuses on the light in his heart. And upon seeing the projection of Peter Parker's soul, Deadpool is astonished. For one, he must really look up to Spider-Man. Two, seeing his soul like this made Wade realize just how horribly he misjudged Peter. Peter's not just some okay guy that Deadpool killed by mistake, he's a great guy. His soul is so pure, there's barely a stain on it, and Wade really hopes that this trip to the underworld isn't going to mess with his head. As they battle and finally defeat Mysterio in this realm, Peter's soul was then whisked away from his blood-soaked savior. See the webhead facing, who unbeknownst to him is probably his greatest enemy ever. Mephisto tells Peter that fighting for your life is one thing, but fighting for your soul is something completely different. But the webhead can't help but shake the feeling that he knows this devil, and he asks Mephisto who he is, and he answers, "I am the architect of your downfall. I orchestrated your ultimate failure, and I'm going to tell you a secret." Spidey's soul missing, Wade's time down here is running out. He has to call in the favor of an old friend to get him back. He explains to Death what he did and how he's trying to be a better person, and he asks if she can fix his mistake. But Death grabs a hold of the one that she wants more than anyone in the universe and tells Wade that he has changed, and he tells her that he's really trying. Before he can share a kiss with Death, the regenerating degenerate does what he does better than anyone in the world, comes back to life. And Peter Parker does too. As he wakes up, we see a thought, a message humming in his head, something that he doesn't even know he learned in the afterlife. The truth is, he will never find happiness. He will always be missing something. He will always be incomplete, and no matter how hard he tries, no matter how much of a hero he is, he will always feel empty. While Parker is trying to rack his brain and remember exactly what happened to him, he sees a note from Deadpool. The card explains that a guy hired him to kill Peter, and he did. At a great risk to his personal life and his marriage, Wade realized that he was wrong, and he fixed his mistake. We see a Wade Wilson looking at himself in the mirror, actually physically changing. No asks Peter Parker for one big favor. He knows that it's ridiculous considering what just happened. He asks him, please, to not tell Spidey. And in return, he's going to take down the jackass that hired him to kill Peter in the first place. And we find out that that very client has been impersonating Peter Parker. We see Wade playing with his daughter and Ellie telling her dad that he's being really weird because instead of wanting to pretend to slice and dice their enemies, he's telling her maybe we just put them in sleeper holds and throw them in jail. As Deadpool keeps getting closer to the light, Peter Parker keeps moving closer to the darkness. After being killed and resurrected twice, his soul is being haunted by a message he received in the afterlife. To top all of that off, Wade's client, Patient Zero, had impersonated Peter Parker and stolen from Parker Industries. An incredibly pissed off Pete says he knows what was taken and he's going to get it back. As a way to pay Peter back for wrongfully killing him 2 times, Deadpool is going to kill Patient Zero. As he's scouting out the glass house that his client lives in, his party is crashed by the Wallcrawler himself. The Merc with the Mouth realizes that something is wrong with Spidey. He sounds angry, furious, hell, even borderline evil. The Wallcrawler begins interrogating Deadpool, asking him if this turning over a new leaf, if him changing for the better, was all an act, all a lie, just to slow Spidey down so that he could kill Peter Parker. But before Deadpool can give his answer, they're being lured into what is obviously a death trap, but Spidey assures him that they will finish this later. Patient Zero awaiting the arrival of our 2 heroes, the Merc with the Mouth and the Web Slinger come busting in to get even. Before their attack can even begin, Spider-Man realizes that the monstrosities he has there protecting him are human. Even though Spidey is strangely hesitant at first, he reminds Wade that that means no killing. Patient Zero is taunting the 2 while they're fighting his mutations, and the Webhead realizes that they have control units on their necks. When they remove these control units, these poor souls fall to the ground and begin sobbing, crying. The one begging Spider-Man to kill him. Patient Zero, mocking the heroes for trying this in the first place, tells them that yes, those are control units. Also pain dampeners, dopamine boosters, and most critically, these people can't remember what was done to them as long as those units are in place. This is when the Wallcrawler reveals to Deadpool that while Peter Parker was dead and out of commission, Patient Zero took his place. He pretended to be him. While he did, he stole every single piece of data that Parker Industries had on genetic splicing. Patient Zero explains that his plan was to pretend to be Peter Parker and run Parker Industries into the ground, but obviously that got ruined. But the one question that Spidey and Deadpool aren't asking is why? Why the 2 of them? Why manipulate the idiot to kill the genius? Patient Zero reveals that this is all personal, that he has a vendetta against Wade Wilson and Peter Parker. While they're desperately fighting for their lives, the Wallcrawler tells the regenerating degenerate to hell with it, switch to live ammo. Kneecaps, ankles, whatever it is, just take this bastard down. But the one thing that the Merc with the Mouth wasn't considering is the ineffectiveness of throwing grenades in a glass house. They begin cascading through the floors of this glass mansion. Patient Zero begins to explain why he even calls himself this. He says he was infected, not by a disease, but by men, and specifically 2 of them. Everything that has happened and will happen is because of Wade Wilson and Peter Parker. He tells the heroes to really think about who he could possibly be, who have they both screwed over. As he teleports himself away to safety, he activates a superconductor which is tuned to attract glass. With the building getting ready to implode on itself, Deadpool jumps on top of Spider-Man, trying to protect him, realizing that the Webhead was fully capable of protecting himself. The web cocoon that they are in is going to take hours to dissolve, so while they're stuck here, Spidey asks Wade the same question from before. How much of all of this was real? Wade admits that he was wrong, that he messed up, that he killed Peter Parker because he thought he was a bad guy. But he didn't present any of this evidence to Spider-Man because he holds Peter up on a pedestal for whatever reason. Wade tells Spider-Man that you are my hero, but you are naive as hell about certain things, but that's a special part of you that makes you you. I didn't want that part to die with Peter Parker. He removes his mask, he tells Spidey that he really wants to change. He really is trying, and a shocked Spider-Man takes one look at Wade and says, okay man, you can stop talking. I believe you. But as the 2 heroes are working on their friendship, little do they know that their genetics are being used in another project. As we see one volunteer hooked up into a gene splicing program saying that she just wants to be everything that Spider-Man and Deadpool can be. The Wallcrawler and the Merc with the Mouth are sitting on top of the bridge enjoying a sunrise and having a beautiful start to their day. Even though Wade is in the doghouse right now, he wanted to take a second to truly thank Spidey. He tells him thank you for believing in me when no one else did and giving me a chance when I know I didn't deserve one. He tells Spidey, even though my wife wouldn't touch me with Mystique's lady parts right now, I've never felt better in my life and you did that for me. As they swing off to start their day of crime fighting, Pete tells him you're a good guy and good guys stick together. We later see the Web Slinger and the Regenerating Degenerate take on the newest and lamest group of supervillains that have tried to take Spidey down, the Hateful Hexad. They're fighting, they're quipping, even though Peter is being a little more unusually dark. It took Deadpool an embarrassingly long amount of time to realize that all of these villains are animal-themed. Deadpool is picking apart the Webhead's quips. He's telling him they're just not good enough right now. He's really not bringing it. Spidey asks if all of this doesn't have to do with his trouble in Helladise. See, Wade's wife Shikla is absolutely disgusted by his new face. She's the queen of the monsters, she's the queen of the damned, and she can't stand the look of him. While Wade goes through some extreme measures trying to remedy that, she also just doesn't like who he is as a person anymore. He's not the murderous man that she married. Spidey wonders if Wade just not being a bad boy anymore is kind of getting to him. And as they're wrapping up the fight and taking care of the rest of the villains, Spidey tells Wade that he thinks his problem has always been internal. I mean, Wade has always had the best healing factor in the world, but his face looked like salami sauteed in elephant shit. Maybe it wasn't just some cruel twist of fate, maybe it was psychological. Spidey, of course, accredits this to him having a positive role model now, but he also tells him that, like, for the first time ever, he has a truckload of decency about him. He has a solid marriage despite their current troubles. Wade's face might just be him outwardly projecting the fact that he doesn't absolutely hate himself. While Deadpool is no longer exactly the same guy as he was, Spidey isn't either, as he points out the fact that he's suffocating the squid he just webbed up. While he is getting darker, the webhead rushes over, because of course he doesn't want to smother anyone to death. He starts to panic when his web solvent isn't working. Things begin to get even weirder when they see that one of the villains they were fighting has been stabbed. All of a sudden, a knife comes flying in, hitting the squid in the head and killing him right in front of Pete's eyes. And a horrifying voice begins to whisper the song, The Itsy Bitsy Spider. They can't see this villain, they can't find them anywhere. Pete begins to use his lenses to scan for infrared, ultraviolet light, or contrast, anything, and he can't see them. It's even worse when he realizes his spider senses don't detect it either. As another villain gets murdered right in front of them, Wade is barely able to save the White Rabbit before she chokes to death. Finally, Itsy Bitsy comes out of the shadows and introduces herself to her daddies. He tells them not to worry, not to be scared, that she's one of them, that she's just like them. While the two try to stop her, she's too quick and gets away, but before she does, she turns around to blow them a kiss, telling them that maybe she'll let them touch her next time. If all of that wasn't enough, things go from bad to worse when the webhead and the regenerating degenerate get busted by a SWAT team, who, of course, is going to arrest them for the murders of all of these villains. The merc with the mouth and the web slinger laying low in Wade's secret bachelor pad, as the two of them had just been framed for multiple murders. While Wade is working valiantly to try and figure out a way to track and stop his and Spidey's genetic offspring, Webhead, on the other hand, has kind of just given up, or at least says that he's going to adopt Wade's mentality. He tells Deadpool, "You make horrendous jokes at inappropriate times, you cuss, you drink, you shoot people in the face, and everybody loves you for it." He's done caring, he's done sweating the small stuff. Yeah, there's murders going on and they've got to stop the murders, but other than that, he doesn't give a shit. So Spidey has sent out a frequency to be received by Patient Zero, you know, the guy who's been trying to kill both of them, and figures might as well go ahead and get all this big battle over with. And sure enough, he makes his appearance just as Peter had planned, but surprisingly, instead of trying to kill Deadpool and Spidey now, he's looking for their help. It's over. No more games. He doesn't want to try and kill the two of them anymore. This monstrosity that he's created, this Itsy Bitsy, is the worst thing ever, and all he wants is protection. But his cries for help came too little too late when Itsy Bitsy makes her presence known and chops him into pieces. As Spidey and Deadpool begin to attack her for what she's just done, she tells them not to be mad, that they're misunderstanding her. That bad man wanted her to hurt them, and she would never do that. She loves them. She would never punish her two dads unless, you know, they're into that sort of thing. They continue desperately trying to catch her and stop her, they just can't. But Itsy Bitsy says that she doesn't want to do this, where the heroes meet up and fight until they understand one another. This is pointless. Our two heroes in red tell her she's a murderer, that they have to stop her, but her counterpoint is a fair one. She says she murdered 3 really bad men. What makes her any different than Deadpool? Tells them she wants to be with them. She's the best of what they both have to offer this world. She wants them to use her. Spidey says that even if all of that is true, Deadpool reminds her that they don't kill anymore. And Itsy Bitsy is heartbroken that her dads don't have the spine to help her do all of the good work that she's capable of doing. They're battling, something about her makes Peter hate Itsy Bitsy with every ounce of his being. It's a visceral and primal hate that he feels deep down in his bones. Wade is extremely pissed because all of his favorite stuff is getting destroyed. They keep fighting, but they can't even find a way to hurt her. They think that she must have a weakness, but they sure as hell don't know what it is. Merc with the mouth begins to sympathize with her and tells her that he understands a psycho took another psycho and gave her power. I can relate to that because he was that psycho. He's been there before, but he's changed. Peter tells her that they just want to help, but she says that they wanted to help, they wouldn't have started by attacking her. He goes to stab the wall crawler, the merc with the mouth cuts her hands clean off just at the last second, and he tells her, "You know what, I don't give a shit about any of this. I don't care about her manifesto, or her powers, or her super millennial daddy issues." But they lay on the ground almost defeated, are beaten, bloodied, and half torn to pieces heroes are out of options. They can't even lay a hand on Itsy Bitsy, and she finally gives her fathers an ultimatum. They can either join her, or die. In a last-ditch effort, Deadpool prepares to ignite the hundreds of pounds of C4 that he's kept hidden in his apartment, and he asks Spidey, "How good is your healing factor?" Pete reminds him that he doesn't have one. Deadpool says, "Well, don't worry, you won't feel a thing." And when Spider-Man says, "Really?" he said, "No. Getting blown up hurts like a motherfucker." as he ignites the payload and blows the top off their apartment building. We see a flaming, burning, and broken Itsy Bitsy rise from the ashes and put herself right back together. As she sees nothing left but shreds of their outfits laying there in the rubble, she thinks to herself what a shame it was that they were both such idiots. Itsy Bitsy swings away saying, "Whatever, there's work that needs done." Even though the webhead is ready to get up and get back in action and try to put a stop to Itsy Bitsy, Deadpool tells Spider-Man he needs to take it easy. He hasn't pulled that much metal out of somebody since he stole his grandma's fillings to buy his first gun. Deadpool tells Spidey that he can relax, that this pocket universe that they're residing in, time works completely different. While Pete and his nearly blown-in-half abdomen have been laying here for weeks healing, it's only been a mere couple of hours back in their actual universe. Now, they have a private conversation about all the things Deadpool had to do in order to nurse Spider-Man back to health when they are rudely interrupted by none other than Morgan Le Fay. Webslinger tells the second-rate sorceress simply just to leave them the hell alone. Doesn't care what she's doing down here, no matter how awful it is, he just needs to get back home to his universe to handle his business. But the Merc with the Mouth interjects and says, dude, we should probably care, I mean, she has like slaves here. But as Spidey is saying that this isn't their fight, they don't need to get involved, Morgan Le Fay tries to attack him anyway, and the defense mechanisms in his advanced suit are still working as it shocks her. And our not-so-friendly neighborhood Spider-Man tells all the slaves, okay, well, there you go, you're free now. I suggest forming a government and locking her in some kind of jail, and quick. But the slaves have their own plans in mind. Now that they're free, they can go back to their genocidal war. Wade is pleading with him. He's like, man, don't make me say it. You know we have to stop them. And Pete reluctantly agrees. They build a fire moat between the two armies to try and keep their battle from happening. Deadpool says, see, doesn't that remind you how good it feels to be a hero, to save lives? The only thing that'll make the webhead feel good is if they go back to their universe and stop the maniac who was killing in their names. But with their war stopped, a completely separate invasion tries to take over this place. As Deadpool points out, this is a ridiculous amount of shitty reveals that keep happening in this book to prolong the story. Him and Spider-Man argue about what they're even going to do. They don't even have a plan to stop Itsy Bitsy. When Pete reveals that he doesn't need a plan, that he's just going to do whatever is necessary. He's going to stop that sociopath from killing ever again. Deadpool tells him, you don't kill, man. Spidey says he'll do whatever's necessary to keep people safe. It's his life, he's in control of it. He decides what happens next, no one else. And Deadpool looks at him and says, what has happened to you, man? Get one more huge, shitty page turn reveal, and Deadpool has finally had enough. Ask this next nihilistic death-worshipping conqueror if it's ever heard of cancer, and it says, of course, life is a cancer. Deadpool begins his speech. He says cancer fucking sucks. It's an invasive, non-thinking malevolence that infects a host and eats away until nothing's left but a morphine drip and relatives checking their watches. He says, I used to think like you. I used to think life was a cancer that babies were infected with the moment they were born. Nihilistic. He was ready to die because, hey, why live? But then he was given another shot. He was given a second chance. Over time, he's learned the difference between living and dying. He has friends now. He has a kid that lights up his life. He has a wife. The point is that despite all of the ugly things that come with it, we create meaning of the meaningless. We give life to living. Learned it all from that guy right there, that man who is a true hero. As he goes to point at Spider-Man, the Conqueror asks, who are you talking about? As Pete comes flying in with a drill truck, blowing a hole through the monster and destroying its spine. Deadpool tries to tell Spidey about his speech and how profound it was and how he really probably should have been listening to it. Spider-Man says it doesn't matter, the universe doesn't care, just teleport us back and get us the hell out of here. As they teleport back to our world, our hopeful mercenary and our nihilistic hero look up and see a massacre left behind by Itsy Bitsy. See the web-slinger sitting in a church, covered in blood and being asked if he would like to talk about it. Spidey says that all of this is because of her. This is all because of Itsy Bitsy. See, she doesn't hide from Spider-Man and Deadpool. She's not afraid of them at all. Anyone that she deems a threat to society, she kills. Gangsters, civil servants, politicians, supervillains, they weren't all innocent, but none of them deserve to die. The webhead and the Merc with the Mouth have been burning themselves from both ends of the candle as they've been trying to track her down. They're on watch for her 24/7. Anytime she shows up, they show up in seconds and they lose in minutes. Spidey says she's an engine of death and she kills people in my name. He says I'm being tested and I'm failing and I have to embrace the most obvious answer. Originally, the Regenerating Degenerate had brought Spidey here to this little church in Westchester because he told him he needed to train. Itsy Bitsy doesn't set off his spider sense, and while he's a good fighter without it, he needs to be a great one. But when Nightcrawler shows up to put school in session, the webhead just walks away saying he doesn't have the time or the need for superhero practice. As Kurt teleports in front of Spidey and tries to stop him from leaving, asking at least for the courtesy of a good workout, Wallcrawler blows the hell up and gives him one. As they fight, Kurt is trying to give the hero some advice, telling them to try and predict his movements, much like they will have to with Itsy Bitsy. The battle keeps raging on. Deadpool tells Spidey, you know, this really isn't how you fight if you're trying to kill someone. That's when Nightcrawler puts a stop to the whole damn thing, because he can't believe what he's just heard. Kurt, of course, just thinks Deadpool must be joking. It's his typical humor, but Spidey gets even more pissed off. And Wade finally tells him, just answer the question, Webbs. If you want to learn how to murder somebody, Kurt will teach you. You just need to be honest with yourself. The two then start fighting each other, and Spidey can't believe that Deadpool, of all people, has the audacity to lecture him about wanting to kill a bad guy. But Deadpool tells him that he's sick of seeing Spider-Man crap all over the core beliefs that make him his personal hero. Reminds Peter that this doesn't have to be all or nothing. He saved countless lives without ever killing somebody. Finding the right way is what Spider-Man does. He saves people without dismembering or gutting or snapping someone's neck. And with that last one, though, a flash of rage as hot as lightning goes through Peter's heart. But Wade wouldn't have possibly known. He didn't know about Gwen. He wouldn't have known how she died or what she meant to Peter. But that doesn't stop our wall-crawling hero from tackling Deadpool through the side of the building and running a sword through his chest. Keep fighting. Spidey says they're out of options. There is no choice here, and Deadpool tells him he's speaking like a true killer. As the merc with the mouth keeps mouthing off to Spidey, he tells him that he's done hearing all of this. He's tired of Wade's hypocrisy. He's killed plenty of people, and Wade tells him, yeah, I did, and now I don't, because guys like you taught me that there's always another way. Peter, finally hearing enough, screams at him to stop saying that as he cuts Wade's head clean off. Waiting in the church for Deadpool to heal back up, we see Spider-Man telling Nightcrawler that he's no saint and he's sick of acting like one. Kurt tells Spider-Man that you are the best of us, you're a legacy, you're an inspiration. He tells him, yeah, the righteous path can be a burden, but imagine a world without the hope that you represent. And while Nightcrawler has taken over the responsibility of trying to give Spider-Man a pep talk up in the real world, Wade's soul is down in hell trying to figure out some answers. Wade has found Patient Zero's soul in hell, the one who started all of this, and while it turned out to be his old pal Weasel, he doesn't understand where Spider-Man factors into it all. Weasel tells him, you don't just come back from the dead, you don't walk out of hell scot-free, you gotta make a deal. His partner in all of this has a serious mat-on for Deadpool's best pal. Because Mephisto is still after Peter Parker's soul. Now we see Wade waking back up in the church after his body has fully healed, and Nightcrawler revealing that Spidey is already gone. Nightcrawler tells the merc with the mouth that he better hurry. If he's truly going to save his friend Spider-Man, he's going to have to do it now. He's going to have to find him before he finds Itsy Bitsy. Or he's going to make a terrible mistake, and Spidey's soul will be lost forever. Peter's decided that all of this is going to end tonight. He's tired of Spider-Man taking every single blow that the universe has to offer just to get up and do it again. It doesn't work anymore, and he doesn't want it to work anymore. He doesn't want to get kicked in the gut again, knowing he has the power to stop it. Deadpool, on the other hand, is trying desperately. He's racing to get to Spider-Man in order to stop him before he crosses that line. Once he arrives, he finds out that the Wallcrawler is more than prepared to do whatever he needs to do to win his battle and win it tonight. While the webhead does want to talk to the merc with the mouth, he tells him first that he's genuinely sorry for cutting his head off, but in his defense, he knew it was going to grow back. He tells him he's not stopping him from going on a murdering spree. It's not a spree, it's one. It's just once. The regenerating degenerate tries to make one more final pitch for sanity, tries to plead with Spider-Man and to explain to him what's going on. You cut my head off, and of course I went to hell, but while I was down there, I learned something. Everything, all of this, was because of Mephisto. The Parker setup, the tech robbery, Itsy Bitsy, every bit of this has been orchestrated by a demon who wants your soul. Spider-Man is too far gone. He's drowning in his rage, and he says, my soul, people are dying because of me. Can't even hear what Wade's saying anymore. He denies his logic and just says that all of this is his fault. He's now pulling out all the stops and trying desperately to take Itsy Bitsy's life. He tells Deadpool that he doesn't need him in his way. And in order to make sure that Wade is out of the picture, Spider-Man reveals that Deadpool's daughter Ellie is in danger. Yeah, she has some really cool tech and cloaking that's keeping the house protected and making sure no one finds out where she is. But in an hour, that's all going down, and her address is going to be broadcast around the world to everyone that Deadpool has ever pissed off. Now, as both the Web-Slinger and Itsy Bitsy are fighting for their respective lives, Spider-Man tries to tell her he doesn't want to do this, but she knows that he's lying. He tells her, you know what, you're right, as he reveals an ace up his sleeve. You see, Parker Industries has many divisions, clean energy being one of them, and you would be surprised at the damage you can do with a shoulder-mounted power plant. Warns Itsy Bitsy he can dissect her on an atomic level, and he will if she doesn't stop. This incredibly skilled mutated assassin manages to blow the tech off of Spider-Man's back. Now he's left with just body to body, his powers against hers, and she is his superior in every single way. In no time, she gets the upper hand and prepares to kill her spider dad. Just in the nick of time, the Merc with the Mouth shows up in order to save his web-headed friend. Pete begins screaming, telling him, "Wade, no, what the hell are you doing? You have to get out of here, that transmitter is going to go off." Deadpool tells him, "You know what? I think you're full of shit." He says, "I know you want to scare me away from this fun fest, but no matter what this twisted psychopath in tight jeans has done to you, I know you, and I know you would never put that little girl in danger." Looking him in the eyes, he says, "Say it, Webbs. Tell me we didn't just kill a little girl because you're having a midlife crisis and I'm a dumb fanboy." As the two are fighting Itsy Bitsy together now, Spidey screams and says, "She's fine. Are you happy?" Itsy Bitsy manages to nail down Deadpool. Spidey gets a hold of her long enough to reveal that fighting here in this shipment yard was all part of his plan. She's fast, strong, nasty as hell, and driven, but there's one thing she's not, and that's smart. He launches her into the hidden plasma breeder and fires it up. He explains that this thing, for about a billionth of a second, replicates the conditions of the surface of the sun. A billionth of a second was all it took to melt Itsy Bitsy clean in half, as Deadpool congratulates Spider-Man on a job well done. Deadpool's looking for the unbreakable glass or the hard gel or whatever the hell they're planning on keeping her in, and Spider-Man says, "You weren't listening to me." He tells Deadpool, "We trap her, she regenerates. She regenerates, she escapes. She escapes, and people die." As the wall crawler picks up the half of Itsy Bitsy that's remaining and starts walking towards his son in a box, Deadpool is screaming, telling him to stop. But Itsy Bitsy is taunting him, saying that if you don't stop me, if you don't go ahead and do this and kill me now, I will wear this entire city as a skin suit. And Spidey says, "I know you will, so God forgive me." But as a rubber bullet comes flying in, hitting the webhead in the shoulder, Deadpool says, "I am begging you now, please don't do this." He tells him to walk away or drag yourself to the hospital on a couple of stumps, and as Spider-Man looks his friend in the eye, he says, "I'm sorry, Wade," and Deadpool says, "Yeah, samesies." These former friends are now hell-bent on doing whatever they can to stop each other. We see Mephisto gloating and reveling in the fact that the beloved Spider-Man, that Peter Parker, a soul so pure and so special, has now become so lost. He gleefully announces that today the soul of a hero will burn. As Wade tries every way he can to stop Spidey, to try and keep him from killing, we see him desperately trying to get his message across one last time, but now underlining his point with bullets. Webhead says there are no other answers, that he's thought of everything. Hell, he's even thought of launching her into space, but she would just keep freezing and suffocating and regenerating over and over, and it would just be immortal torture. The Wallcrawler tells him that the worst part of all of this is being lectured about not killing by a killer. Deadpool has changed. He doesn't kill anymore. He's a true blue hero, and Spider-Man is the reason for that. Wade wants to know how he became the voice of reason all of a sudden, and more importantly, how Spidey could ever live with himself after killing somebody. Itsy Bitsy attacks now stronger than she ever was, even after Spider-Man burning off 2/3 of her body, and this just helps back up Pete's point. As the web slinger retaliates and attacks Itsy Bitsy full of rage, Deadpool realizes that he's not saying anything, and that's the scariest part. No jokes, no trying to appeal to her better side. The man is full-on committed to murder. He has that look in his eyes, a look that Deadpool has seen in his own eyes plenty of times throughout the years. After stunning her with an electric web line, Spider-Man starts ripping her limbs off and beating Itsy Bitsy with them. The Merc with the Mouth is begging his friend to stop, and Spider-Man tells him that no matter what he does, no matter how hard he fights, he's always felt an emptiness inside of him, a hole. He thought if he just kept going, if he kept fighting the good fight, that it would fix it, but it's not working anymore. But the regenerating degenerate tells him from experience that murder, even righteously filled justified murder, isn't going to fill that hole. If anything, it's going to tear him apart. Spider-Man tells him, "I know, but I said I was going to finish it, Wade, and I'm going to now." News helicopters and camera crews start arriving. Deadpool punches Spider-Man again and calls him a coward. He tackles him, telling him, "I'm not going to let you throw away everything over one psychopath. I have to see what happens if you kill her," but then he says fuck it and pulls out all of the smoke grenades he has on him. Covering them all in a huge cloud of haze, we see Spider-Man emerge first as he grabs Itsy Bitsy and takes her to his plasma breeder. She taunts him, telling him, "I'm calling your bluff. I don't believe that you'll kill me." But in a billionth of a second, Spider-Man sticks Itsy Bitsy inside the heart of this plasma breeder, sacrificing his own arm and completely eviscerating her. Now this brings a smile, of course, to a certain demon's face, but Spidey then turns around and asks, "How does that feel?" Spider-Man, the completely justifiable, totally righteous murderer, right? Deadpool then turns off his image inducer, revealing that he was the one who just killed Itsy Bitsy. He asks Spidey, "Does this make you feel whole? Did it complete the emptiness inside of you?" This is what you wanted, right? And turns to the cameras and the news helicopters and screams, saying, make sure you all get all of this. Make sure everybody knows that Deadpool saved the day by killing and atomizing. Spidey looks at Deadpool and asks why, and tells him that he could have done it, and Deadpool says, yeah, you could have. And the world would have been a nastier place because of it. The webhead knows that Deadpool has been trying so hard to get past all of this, to do the right thing, to stop killing. As he walks away, he tells Spider-Man not to look so sad, bro, we won. That doesn't stop the webhead from falling to his knees and hanging his head in shame. We see Spidey later, sitting on top of the Brooklyn Bridge, eating away his feelings when all of a sudden his friend pays him a visit. Spidey wants to know if people really changed, if after a certain point we're all just kind of locked into who we are, and as Deadpool pulls his mask off and reveals his now back to being scarred face, is after our adventure, man, honestly, I have no idea. Spidey is shocked and disappointed because Wade was better, he was finally healed, but Deadpool says that was only because of you. Tells him you believed a walking smear of a human could change if he wanted to, and I did that for a while. Sometimes the pain goes away, the hole you feel inside is completely gone, and other times it's the size of Jupiter. And Webbs tells him, yeah, that he almost compromised everything he ever fought for to make that pain go away. The only thing that really feels it are friends and people you love and doing good. Spider-Man then pulls Deadpool into a tight hug and tells him, I know what you sacrificed for me, and I will make it up to you, I swear it. Merc with the mouth goes to hold his hero in a tight embrace. He tells him, anytime you have a hole that needs filling, and Spidey says, you ruined it.